Hey, in today's video I'll talk about volume and intensity and which one should you focus on more to get more gains. We know that increasing volume, aka sets, will lead to progression, because the total amount of weight lifted in a session will be greater. And that's a very important metric for progression. We want to increase that number as much as possible in order to grow. But also focusing on adding weight to the bar will lead to size gains, because again the total amount of weight lifted will be greater. So let's take this example. Let's say that we can do 200 pounds for 8 reps on squats. And you have two options. Do you want to increase the weight and do less reps and start over till you can get again 8 reps? Or do you want to do the same amount of reps but add an extra set? On paper both of those will lead to progression, so which one should you choose? Well, the total amount of weight lifted will be from the second person, because adding a whole nother set will lead to a lot more weight lifted rather than adding 5 pounds. And it might seem like the logical answer. Adding 5 pounds to your set will be hard, but adding an extra set is easy and you can practically do that forever. To add another set. You can end up doing 10 sets of squats, but we shouldn't do this. There are a couple of bad things that come with this. First of all, the first sets that you'll do will get too easy, because you'll get too comfortable lifting 200 pounds for 8 reps. Because you were able to do that a long time ago, why are you still doing 200 pounds for 8 reps 10 weeks later? That doesn't really make sense. And yeah, your intensity will increase by the time you get to your last sets. But by that time, you'll have wasted a lot of time. And that's another thing, this approach is very time consuming. You cannot be in the gym for 5 hours, come on. We need to find ways to spend as little time as possible in the gym, because the more advanced you become, the more time you'll need. And you're shooting yourself in the foot if the only way you know how to progress is to just add more volume. Because at some point, you just can't add any more volume. And it's true that you'll get some gains from adding more sets. I'm not denying that. You can add more sets, more exercises and stuff like that, and you'll get more gains. But in the long run, this is not a sustainable way to make progress. And what will you do when it's time to actually make progress? When you realize that your 10 by 10 that you've been doing is not working. Because then you'll basically have to cut out all of your volume and start over again, the right way. Because by the time you realize that you've been doing a 10 by 10 with 200 pounds for 8 reps for forever, the other person that actually made the right choice could now be lifting 300 pounds for 8 reps. And they're still doing 4 sets. And that other person not only has bigger legs, because they have much higher quality volume, but they also have more room to grow. Because if they want to, they can add more volume. But you can't, because you don't have any more room to grow, because you're already in the gym for like 3 hours. So rather than doing this, rather than adding volume for no reason, because adding volume should be the last thing that you should do if you want to progress, because it's extremely time consuming, you should do this. You should focus on adding weight and reps to your exercises. When you get to the top of the rep range, you add more weight and you climb back up. And focus on high quality sets, especially because it doesn't take into account different muscle groups, like biceps. You can get a ton of gains from 9 sets of biceps a week. You don't need 10 or 20. But if you're progressing just fine, why would you add another set? And if you're not progressing, look at other variables. Diet, sleep, look at your program, track your program, look at your progression. But people add more sets to their training because it's easy, it's a simple solution. But you're not really attacking the root cause for why you're not progressing with this. You're kinda just ignoring it, till it comes back to you and you add another set again. And that's how you get stuck with an average physique, while still training for 2 hours every day. Just know that volume is a very powerful tool, but you should rarely use it. Most of your progression should be from adding weight to the bar. But the good thing about taking a low volume approach is that when you'll need it, and you will need it at some point when you become more advanced, you can use it. But if you're a novice and you're doing 15 sets per muscle group, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because you won't know what to do when you'll reach a plateau, except for adding more volume, which is just a vicious cycle. And by taking a low volume approach, you'll spend a lot less time in the gym. And if you want to spend even less time in the gym, you can do some supersets. I made a video about them, check it out.